You are listening to Echoes of Family. At a wedding discussion, one suggestion crossed the line. Let's rewind that conversation.
My parents said, "The greatest gift for your sister's wedding is if you disappear forever." I didn't beg. I packed my things, took the car keys, closed the door behind me, like a final punctuation mark at the end of a sentence I never wanted to write. The next morning, I listed my apartment for sale, called the bank, froze the joint account my father thought I'd forgotten existed. My name is Chloe Morrison. And this is the story of how my family's cruelty became their downfall. What happened 4 years ago broke me. What happened last week made me whole. They wanted me gone. They forgot who paid the bills. Growing up, I always knew my sister Madison was the golden one. She was 2 years younger, prettier, louder, easier to love. Robert and Linda Morrison made it clear who mattered most. She was their little princess. I was the extra line in a story already written. When I graduated college, they took me to a cheap restaurant. When Madison got into community college, they threw a party for 50 people. I built a career in marketing, bought my own condo, traveled the world. She bounced between part-time jobs and came home broke. Guess who they called responsible? Her. Guess who they called selfish? Me. Still, I kept showing up. Family dinners, holidays, birthdays. I brought gifts, carried conversations, and swallowed every insult disguised as concern. Then came her engagement. 8 months of dating, and suddenly she was the family's miracle. Every dinner turned into a wedding planning meeting. I offered to help, even offered to pay. They looked at me like I was interrupting something sacred. 2 weeks before the wedding, Madison exploded over a missing seat at the reception. "One extra guest ruins everything," she screamed. Then she turned to me, eyes full of venom. "This is your fault. You ruin everything." I waited for my parents to defend me. They didn't. My father sighed. "Maybe Madison has a point, Chloe." And then my mother, soft, rehearsed, said the words that cracked my spine. "You always make things heavier, Chloe. You never seem happy." I looked around that living room, their laughter, her tantrum, my silence, and realized I'd been standing outside my own family for years. I laughed, because they were right about one thing. I wasn't happy. Not with them. They wanted peace. I gave them silence. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream or beg. I just packed 3 suitcases, 1 wooden box from my grandmother, and every piece of dignity they couldn't steal. While Madison slept off her meltdown, I stood in the doorway of my childhood room. The posters were gone, but the air still smelled like dust and disappointment. I closed the door quietly. They didn't deserve the sound of goodbye. The next morning, I called my realtor. The market was strong. She said we could list my condo within a week. Then I called the bank. There was one account my father never thought I'd touch. The joint account we'd opened years ago for family emergencies. It held $47,000. I'd deposited 45 of it. The banker confirmed I could withdraw my contributions immediately. So I did. A hold was placed on the rest, 72 hours before the funds cleared. Perfect. Madison's wedding was in 8 days. Their perfect day now had a price tag. 2 days later, the phone started buzzing. First Mom, then Dad, then Madison's dramatic voicemails about ruining her life. I didn't answer. On day 5, Mom showed up at my office during lunch. Her makeup cracked under the heat. "Chloe, we need to talk," she whispered. I smiled politely. "No, we don't. You made that clear." She grabbed my arm. "It was just stress. Madison didn't mean it." "I know," I said. "You didn't either." She blinked, lost for words. "The wedding is in a week. We can't access the money. That's not my problem anymore." I kept my voice calm, almost kind. "You wanted me to disappear. I'm just honoring your wish." Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked small, smaller than I'd ever seen her. That afternoon, I accepted a job offer in Seattle, a 20% raise and a signing bonus. The same day, Madison's dream wedding shrank into a cash bar and store-bought cake. I heard about it through a friend. Apparently, she cried through the ceremony. Not because she missed me, but because her fantasy couldn't afford itself anymore. The next morning, I boarded a one-way flight to Seattle. The clouds swallowed the city below, and with it, everything I used to owe them. Freedom didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like silence, finally quiet enough to breathe. When the plane landed, no one waited for me. No guilt, no tension. Just the clean, unfamiliar air of a life that was finally mine. I didn't look back. They wanted me gone. I left and took the foundation with me. Seattle gave me something I didn't recognize at first. Quiet. No buzzing phones. No crisis disguised as family. Jessica called one rainy Thursday. Her voice was careful, almost apologetic. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. Your grandfather passed away." The floor didn't drop. It shifted. Like an elevator stopping between floors. I hadn't been invited to the funeral. No texts. No voicemail. Just a rumor carried by kindness. 2 days later, his lawyer reached out. He asked if I could join a remote reading. I sat at my kitchen table, hands folded, breath thin. He began with the formalities. Estate inventory, account numbers, appraisals, house, investments, life insurance. Even the classic cars he polished every Sunday. Then he said my name, Chloe Morrison. Silence gathered between syllables. "To my granddaughter Chloe, I leave my entire estate." The entire room went still, even through a screen. Madison received $5,000 and a letter. My parents received nothing, and a sentence saying they had shown their character. The valuation landed near $2 million. Numbers I never expected to hear out loud. Not a jackpot. A responsibility with his name etched beneath mine. I didn't gloat. I couldn't. I pressed my palms against the cool table and waited to breathe. The lawyer sent one more envelope. A letter my grandfather wrote in his careful, tilting hand. He'd seen the way they spoke to me. He'd seen me try again and again. He wrote that love isn't measured by performance, and that dignity sometimes looks like walking away. He said he was proud of me. He said to build a life I chose. He said not to wait for their permission to be happy. I cried on the kitchen floor finally. Face in my hands, salt and relief stinging old wounds. The messages started almost immediately. Family should stick together. He wasn't thinking clearly. The ethical thing is to split it evenly. I didn't reply. Instead, I met with a planner. We set aside taxes. Invested the rest with boring discipline. I put a down payment on a quiet house above the Sound. I donated $50,000 to a group for estranged adults. I named a small scholarship after him. For first-generation students cut off by family. Therapy became a weekly anchor. Dr. Martinez mapped the pattern I survived. Scapegoat. Enabler. Golden child. Debt collector. "You can't fix a system you didn't build," she said. "You can only stop funding it." Seattle kept raining. I kept breathing. Grief and gratitude shared a small, hard chair inside me. I didn't ask why he chose me. He already told me. Because he saw me when they refused to look. They didn't mourn me. They mourned the money. It started with a letter from a law firm back home. Thick paper. Thin excuses. My father was suing me. Financial elder abuse and unjust enrichment. He claimed I manipulated my grandfather's will. That I stole money from the family account. That I'd abandoned them and caused emotional distress. The words made me laugh. Not loud, just enough to taste the irony. They were running out of money. Madison's marriage had collapsed. The family house was falling apart. And somehow it was still my fault. I called Patricia Chen, a Seattle attorney known for ending bullies politely. She read through the claim in silence. Then she smiled. They picked the wrong person to lie about. We didn't just defend. We countered. Defamation. Harassment. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. And we filed a motion to make every communication public record. That included the recordings, the emails, the voicemails. Patricia looked at me like a general reviewing weapons. "Are you ready for them to hear their own words in court?" I nodded. "I've been ready for 4 years." The hearing room smelled like dust and nerves. They looked smaller than I remembered. Dad's hair had gone gray. Mom's eyes were hollow. Madison's smile trembled on contact. Their lawyer tried to paint me as cruel, a daughter fueled by revenge. Then Patricia pressed play. The speakers filled the courtroom. Dad's voice, calm, deliberate. "The greatest gift for your sister's wedding is if you disappear forever." Mom's voice followed. "You always make things heavier, Chloe." And Madison's laugh, sharp as glass. No editing. No denial left. Screenshots flashed across the display. Text messages. Emails. Madison's old post. Finally some peace now that she's gone. And then the drunk email she'd sent me a year later. "Don't come back. We're better without you." The judge leaned back, exhausted and disgusted. He ruled fast. Their lawsuit, dismissed. My counterclaim, approved. Damages awarded in full. But the real victory came in his closing words. The plaintiffs demanded their daughter remove herself from their lives, then sued her for doing exactly that. This court finds their actions reprehensible. Outside, rain was falling. The parking lot shimmered under gray light. They stood together, the perfect picture of regret. But regret isn't redemption. It's just recognition too late. Dad tried again. Chloe, please. Mom's voice cracked. Madison cried, mascara bleeding down her face. I took one step back, then another. The distance felt holy. Behind me, the courthouse doors swung shut. The sound echoed like a gavel, final and clean. For the first time in years, my silence didn't feel like surrender. It felt like freedom pronounced out loud. They asked me to vanish. The court made it permanent. 2 weeks after the ruling, the silence finally felt permanent. No letters. No calls. No more lawyers. The bridge was gone, burned clean on both sides. And somehow, I didn't miss the smoke. Marcus and I started house hunting that weekend. We found one near the water. Big windows, quiet mornings, light spilling across polished floors. He said, "It feels like peace." He was right. The realtor asked if I wanted to write a letter to the sellers. I almost laughed. I'd written enough letters for one lifetime, most of them unanswered. Some nights, I still wake up expecting the phone to ring, but it doesn't. And that stillness is its own kind of mercy. People ask if I ever regret taking it to court. If I should have been the bigger person, I smile and tell them the truth. I already was. I just stopped shrinking to fit inside their love. Last month, I started a small foundation for adults cut off by family. People told they were too much when all they wanted was to be enough. We call it the Morrison Fund because healing sometimes means turning your last name into something that finally helps someone. Our wedding is next month. Small, honest, full of laughter. The morning light spills through the new kitchen windows. And for a second, I catch my reflection smiling back. No ghosts, no guilt. Just me, finally home. My grandfather's old friend will walk me down the aisle. My chosen family will be there. My past won't. I used to think freedom meant running away. Now I know better. Freedom means walking forward and never looking back. They wanted me gone. I chose to be free before saying goodbye. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Don't forget to subscribe for more true family betrayal stories that reminds us we are stronger than we think.